Hello friends, I'm Rosa, welcome. So, it's a new month and this means as per usual, we are doing all the new month videos, which means there'll be new unboxings. We did a TBR at the end of last month and we got our wrap up to do. So, I read a total of, I read a total of 8 books last month, which is kind of I almost want to call it a slow month for me. It felt slow, but 8 books is actually not that bad. I just read a lot of romance. So they're small books, you know? But we're gonna talk about them. I hope you guys are excited. I'm gonna try to not make this super ranty because we'll be sitting here for a while if I do. And if you want to check out the books, I will be leaving links to them in the description box down below so you can check them out on either US Amazon or Waterstones if you want to. But let's get started with the book club's primary pick, which was Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. So this is a YA fantasy, kind of want to call it historical fiction, but it's not our history, it's just it has a certain older vibe to it, if you get what I mean. So not historical fiction, but has that vibe. We follow 2 characters, Iris and Roman, who are journalists and they work at the same publishing newspaper. Let's call it a newspaper. They are kind of rivals with each other, so they're competing for the same spot at this newspaper to be a columnist. They also have 2 very, very different backgrounds because Roman is quite privileged, Iris is not so much. And so despite them being rivals and bickering with each other and, you know, there's sort of a tone, you know, there's a thing there, even though neither of them are really aware of it, but there's a thing. An extra thing is that Iris has a typewriter on which she writes letters to someone she doesn't really know. She thinks she's sending them off to her brother, who's actually fighting in the war, but it turns out the letters don't end up with her brother, and she finds out when whoever receives her letters writes her back. Little does she know, she actually doesn't know. It's Roman who's ended up with her letters, and he's writing. They're corresponding. She just doesn't know. And then some things happen. Iris finds herself in the middle of the war. Drama. Okay, so this is very much romance first, fantasy plot second, which is cool, but I wanted a little bit more of the fantasy plot because it's about gods fighting each other and I need to know a little bit more about that. You do get some history about these gods, what kind of gods are they? Who are they fighting for? What are their abilities? And you know, all that stuff. But I want a little bit more than that. Love the relationship though. I think it's great. I just think there could be some more pages just to clarify some things on the gods and, you know, just a little bit more of the fantasy stuff. But their corresponding was super cute. I think I have a thing for pen pals now, which you will see. It's also featured in one of the other books that I read last month, and I think it's just become a thing for me now. I like it. I love it. So in that way, it was really, really nice. Rebecca Ross's writing is also beautiful. It's very flowy, very comfortable. She's a stunning writer. But I will say, so the sequel is coming out in December. If you are someone who's really wanting to get into this because it is very hyped right now, it does end on a bit of a cliffhanger, just a little bit. Someone's gonna yell at me on the other side of the screen right now, what are you talking about, a little bit? That's a very mean cliffhanger. Yeah, a little bit. But the sequel is coming out already in December, so if you don't want to deal with the cliffhanger, just wait a few months. But it's worth a read, I would say. I think it's very cute. The secondary pick was Mile High by Liz Tumford, which I read as part of a readathon. I don't know when that video is going up because I have so many recorded vlogs and stuff that I have not had time to edit, so we will see. It'll be a surprise at some point, but it'll be up on the channel. This is a new adult-ish adult romance, sports romance. We follow a hockey player and a stewardess, or whatever they call them these days. Flight attendant. It's still called the other word in Danish, so that's the one that I use. Anyway, flight attendant. We kind of have the typical hockey player guy. He's a bit of an F-boy. And then we have the super sweet girl, and the 2 of them don't get along at all, but kind of in a teasy kind of way. So do they get along a little bit without really realizing it? Essentially, our lead girl ends up being a flight attendant on this hockey team's jet that they take whenever they have to play not home, but in other stadiums. And so they're just constantly around each other. He's super interested in her, but interested in bothering her. And then it turns into sort of am I bothering her because I think she's annoying, or is it because I like her? You know, that sort of situation. So I will say for this, I enjoyed it. I could have did I binge it? I think I might have binged it. Well, it was part of the readathon, so of course I had to read it very quickly, so I might have binged it. That sounded weird. I might have binged it. But while it was cute, I feel like I've seen a lot of what happened in this book in all different kinds of romances. It's not anything groundbreaking. It's not super original. You've kind of just, if you've read a sports romance, you've kind of read this one as well. Did it have some good points at times? Yes. But I will also say that we are dealing with a bit of a not like the other girls kind of situation, because our lead girl is apparently the only, like, I'm not sure that she's considered plus size or if it's just mid-size, but like everyone else is like super thin around her somehow, and she loves to wear sweatpants and flannel shirts, and apparently nobody else does. So there's a bit of like a not like the other girls situation in this book, which I don't like that trope. I don't like it. I feel like everyone's unique, and because everyone's unique, no one's unique, you know? Did I enjoy the positivity around her having like curves and stuff? Sure. But it also makes me wonder, like, why are the dudes never the one, like, why do they always have to be super fit? Like, I don't know, it's just like a thing. But, yeah, it did have its flaws, but it was still kind of fun to read and super cute, and there were good moments, and you know, yes. But I'm looking forward to the sequel. I think that I've heard the sequel is better. I do have it, The Right Move. I have it in my wardrobe right now. Not on my shelves, no. It's in my wardrobe. We'll talk about it when I do my next book haul, so. But yeah, Mile High. And then let's talk about the other books that I read during the readathon. The Kingmaker by Kennedy Ryan. My first Kennedy Ryan book, and I very much enjoyed this. I genuinely went into this thinking it was a mafia romance for some reason. It's really not. And I was like, because I don't have a good track record when it comes to mafia romances, so I was a little bit scared. You know, a little bit hesitant. A little bit like, ugh, do I want to just dip my toes in or jump in both feet? It was a readathon, so kind of had to jump in both feet, but also learned very quickly that it's very much, it's very much not a mafia romance, but it also kind of could be a little bit. So we follow two people. A girl who is from, what do they call it? Hold on. Reservation. She's a Native American, so she lives in a reservation that is being threatened by this like oil mogul's work. He's putting down a pipe. It's gonna ruin the reservation, and she's very much fighting against that because it's her home. And then we follow the oil mogul's son. That was a lot of like back and forth, but anyway. And they meet each other when she is at this demonstration, and he's instantly taken with her. There's a vibe there. There's definitely like something going on between the two. There's a connection. But then we follow them through like years. I can't remember how many total. I think it's like 14, as both of them grow into powerful people. One in politics, the other one in green energy, while they're trying to figure out what to do with whatever there's between them as well. So it's a very nice like journey through the years with like 2 time jumps, or I think it's 2 time jumps. A bit frustrating at times, but that's kind of what romance books are supposed to be as well. So not like frustrating as in the like, ugh, I don't want to read this anymore, but more like, why can't you just pull yourself together? Like that sort of thing. Following 2 very, very ambitious people and seeing how they're gonna work this out while also working on their ambitions. This is the first one in a duology, actually. There's technically a 3rd book, but it follows another character that is from their circle of people. And I thought it was just really nice. But the first here is a duology. So there is a sequel to this called The Rebel King, and that does mean that it's paced a little bit differently than your usual romance, which if I hadn't known that going into it, I definitely would have been a little bit puzzled while reading it, because it's definitely very differently paced than what I'm used to when it comes to romances, because a lot of romances are standalones. So I'm glad that I knew. Otherwise, I feel like I would have gotten a little bit frustrated with the pacing. That said, also ends on a cliffhanger, which is like, what the heck? I'm glad I have the sequel so I can read it when I want to. It's called The Rebel King. I don't know if I just said that. I feel like I might have just repeated myself. It's fine. But I very much enjoyed this. I thought it was great. I thought it was a little bit different. So, but definitely not a mafia romance, although there is like a feel to it because of this dude's father. He's just powerful and too wealthy in a very negative way. And that reminds me of mafia people, you know? I don't really know why. It's just a thing. For some reason, everyone's decided to have guests on this Sunday at 8:30, and I can hear people around me, and I'm like, why are you guys not like on your way to sleep? You have to get up tomorrow, it's Monday. I don't know, they've been quiet all day and all of a sudden it's like there's a party around me on a Sunday evening. I don't know. Let's talk about the last one of the readathon books, which was Hook, Line and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. I'm literally finding tabs everywhere, but it's fine. So this one is technically a sequel to It Happened One Summer. Almost hit myself in the face with a book just now. That would have been great. They're companion novels though, so in the first one we follow Piper, I think her name is, and then this one we follow the other Bellinger sister, whose name is Hannah, and Fox, who you've also met in the first one. This was a lot better than It Happened One Summer, in my opinion. It was very much like, very feely, very tension. I was afraid that they were gonna feed into, that Tessa Bailey was gonna jump into that way too quickly because it is Tessa Bailey, you know, like she tends to write smut. But I was pleasantly surprised when we didn't jump in too quickly. So we're slowly building up the tension and I really like that. A bit of a slow burn, at least in that regard, because they do like each other very quickly. But they've been friends for a while when this starts. So essentially they've just, I don't really know how much I can say, but they've met each other at some point and It Happened One Summer. Fox is a ladies' man, so he has a new girl basically every weekend or whatever he wants. But after meeting Hannah, he's a little bit, for some reason, not really feeling like doing that life anymore. Like he's not really feeling like that's him anymore. He's kind of taking a break from it. He's not really sure why. I feel like we know why, but he's just confused. And Hannah is working in movies, so she is trying to become something to do with music and movies. And she pitched this idea that they had to go to this harbor town, fishing town, that Piper now lives in with her boyfriend, and Fox also lives there, to film this new movie, this romance movie, because it just has like the perfect vibe for it. And so they end up in the fishing town and she has to live with Fox while she's there, instead of living at a hotel. She's also crushing on the director of this movie and kind of wants Fox's help to do something about that because she's not really sure how to do something about it. And Fox is willing to help her, but this whole like getting close and stuff to help her is not easy for him. So he has to realize a few things, and that's basically what this book is about. A lot of feeling, a lot of talk about childhood trauma as well, or yeah, I would call it childhood trauma, but not the usual necessarily that you come across in romance books. A lot of talk about like being this like ladies' man, but still actually dealing with very big insecurities, and I really liked that as well because I feel like a lot of if you take Sander from Mile High, super ladies' man, like an F-boy and all of that. Like Fox is a little bit like that as well, but insecurities were very much touched on in this one, whereas I feel like his insecurities is more like family related. He has a reason for why he is the way that he is, and it was just nice to see there was a reason for him to be like this. Like, I don't know how to exactly say it. It's also like I have to censor myself on YouTube. It's super annoying. It was just nice that he wasn't just a ladies' man just to be a ladies' man. Like, he's dealing with trauma and that's why he is the way that he is. That's why he feels like not necessarily that he can discard women because he doesn't look at them like that, but just that he doesn't want to bind himself. Like, there's a reason he's like that. And it was nice. I liked it. And I actually also really liked Hannah, but I think that's because I personally also like music. Really, I love it. I don't know how to put it into words, but I really, really love music. And it was nice seeing a character have the same sort of connection to music as I do myself. So I saw a little bit of myself in Hannah too, which I thought was nice. So anyway, I enjoyed it so much. And that means we're halfway through. Let's talk about, I got like 3 romances and then a fantasy. I read so much romance. Who am I? What happened to me? Let's actually talk about Two Wrongs Make a Right by Chloe Lees, which is kind of like an opposites attract sort of romance with fake dating. So we follow actually also a sister. I love sister stories. I have 2 sisters myself. They're kind of relatable in a way. My sisters are just a lot older than me. So like we haven't been as close as the sisters that I read about, but I don't know, they're still relatable in a way. But we follow this girl who has 2 sisters. So I'm guessing that there'll be books on the other 2. I think there's another one coming out which is called Better Hate Than Ever about the younger sister. And then I'm expecting, I think she has a twin or something. I can't remember how it is. Anyway, details. You don't need those right now. But She's going to like a birthday party or something. I can't remember, but it's a party. And this dude is there and she's instantly taken with him, but the two of them have like the most awkward first impression ever. It doesn't work. No, it's just a big no. And then for some reason they start to play hide and seek or something like that. They end up hiding in the same place, have a little bit of a moment, and people seem to find out about this moment even though they were very rudely interrupted. And so her sister and their friend group basically decide to unknowingly set them up by giving them the other person's phone number, so they have to talk for a little bit or chat for a little bit before text, I should say, before meeting up. And so when they finally meet up and they find out that they've been set up like this, they get pissed and decide, well, we're just gonna fake date and then break up at some point, and they can see how wrong they were about us and that they should stop meddling in our love lives. Yes. But you know, with fake dating, it always goes one way. It never ends the way that they plan. So that's all I'm gonna say. I enjoyed this so much. This was so bingeable. Very much up until the third act breakup. And I've never really been like... I think I've read a few romances where I've been a little bit frustrated with the third act breakup. I know it's necessary for books because if the romance is the plot, you kind of need there to be drama towards the end. Otherwise, it's just gonna like fade out into nothing, you know? It's a very common... You see it in movies as well. It's very common. There has to be the third act, whatever. So I get it. It's never annoyed me though, not really, until this book. Because it was resolved within like 2 pages. Like, it was so unnecessary. There could have been something else. You could have figured out something else. It doesn't necessarily always have to be a breakup. There could be like a second, well, sometimes it has to be a breakup, but like mixed with like a secondary plot as well, so it's not just a rather stupid breakup that is resolved very quickly. You know what I mean? But it was just a breakup. I can't even remember the reason other than it was stupid. Like, I don't know. And then resolved in like 2 pages. And I'm like, why did you even bother? It was so good up until the ending. Like, why? So that was a thing. But I very much enjoyed it throughout. I thought it was cute. I thought it was nice. And I thought it was very cool to see the two characters as well. Like, they have a different kind of chemistry. Very much respectful of each other's, what they deal with. So I think our lead girl is autistic or has autism. And he has anxiety. So they both have their things. But they're very respectful of each other and their things, you know? And it was very nice to see. A lot of cute moments where I'm just like, oh, that was the completely right thing to say. It was very nice in that way. Books are my kind of adventure, all that unknown from the comfort of my couch. I get it. I get it. I love when you read books and there's a quote about books and the author's very clear love for books and you're just like, I get it. I love it. Oh, and apparently it's also a reimagining of Shakespeare's beloved comedy, Much Ado About Nothing. So, it was lovely, just not the last bit. The third act breakup was dumb. I said what I said. Okay. And now we're gonna talk about the 5-star read that I had in what was last month? August. In August. The Undertaking of Hart and Mercy. Oh my goodness. Fantasy romance, but call it a romance, and then with like a fantasy twist to it. This was so unique. I loved every moment of this. Okay, I'll say it took me like 30 pages to get into the book. I'll admit that. I didn't love every second of it. Give me like, I had to go through the 30 pages and then I was good. But I was like sucked in. I just had to get started and then I was sucked in. And I loved it so much. I just butterflies the whole way through. Not a stupid third act breakup. I mean, there was one, but it was not stupid and it didn't last for 4 pages. And it was nice. It was good. This is a romance, right? Romance, but because of the fantasy twist to it, there's zombies in this, you know? Because of the fantasy twist, you can do a little bit more with it, which just was so good. It was so good. So this I had to Google what an Undertaker was because I did not know. And it's awkward when you have a title with a word in it that you don't know. And now I don't remember what an Undertaker is, but that's fine. I read a whole book about an Undertaker and yeah. But we follow an Undertaker whose name is Mercy and a zombie no, he's not a zombie. He's a cowboy who basically kills zombies. I'm sorry, YouTube, I meant unalive. Unalive zombies. I know it sounds confusing, but that's the vibe that I'm going for. And the two of them obviously have to work together because he often brings in bodies that she has to Undertake or whatever, but they don't get along at all. They definitely came off, or like the first time they met each other, it just went catastrophe. And they've just kind of been stuck in this thing with each other since that first meeting. So they don't like each other at all. They very much hate each other. The thing is, I can't exactly remember how it started, but one of them, Hart, was told or something to send a letter to whoever, and so he does, and for some reason this letter ends up with Mercy. She doesn't know who's writing her, but she decides to reply, and the two of them form a friendship while they don't know that they're writing each other, and then it turns into a little bit more like they're still friends, but there's definitely some feelings in it. And so it's basically about them like slowly starting to like the person they're writing, their pen pal, but they just don't know that it's them. Yes. And then there's the zombie stuff as well. Like there's a secondary plot with the zombies, who aren't called zombies, they're called something else, but they're definitely zombies. Drugs? No, that's YouTube, you didn't hear that. You know when you start saying a word and you don't realize what you're saying until you've said it? That's what just happened. I think they're called drudges, but like they're zombies. Essentially they're zombies. Loved reading the letters between the two. They were funny and they were so cute and charming and lovely. This was so nice. It's like 400 or 500 pages. It's 400. A little bit over 400. 420 pages or something like that. And they're just, it was so nice. I loved it so much. I was looking forward to reading this whenever I had the time, and now I've been thinking about it since, and I'm so happy that I bought the Fairy Loot edition on the Fairy Trove sale, because I just had a feeling, you know when you have a feeling that you're just gonna love a book? And then that could actually be dangerous, because then you set your expectations high, and if it doesn't live up to your expectations, it hits harder than it should if you hadn't had those expectations. I wouldn't necessarily say that I had high expectations for this one. I just had like a feeling in my stomach that I was gonna love it, and then I did. And it's so satisfying, and now I have that edition and I'm so excited to receive it. I love having beautiful editions of books that I love. This was so cute. I just, everyone, if you love like romance, funny romance, and you want to like tip your toe in with some fantasy as well, this is a pretty good, yes. But also if you just love romance, yes. If you love pen pals, yes. If you love cowboys, apparently. Maybe, there are horses in this one. There's no ranches though. I don't know if you like ranches, no. Zombies, if you want a zombie love story, but where the zombies are not the love interests, yes. If you like very, very tall people, yes. I just really think, because it's like a romance, not a fantasy romance, a romance, but just with like a fantasy thing to it. It was just so original in a way. I really liked it. I haven't read anything like it before. It didn't feel like a romantasy book. It felt like a romance, but with zombies. It was just so good. Okay, I love it. Everyone read it. Okay, that's all. And then let's actually talk about the other fantasy book. Wildest the Witch. I finished this yesterday, so technically September, but I'm gonna include it in this video anyway because I read the majority of it in August, so I feel like it's fair. Also because I have to wait a month before I talk about it, I'll have forgotten. So this is by Rachel Griffin, who also wrote The Nature of Witches, which I really enjoyed. This is a YA, kind of like an enemies to lovers situation. We follow, is your name also Iris? What the heck? We follow Iris Gray, who works at a nature thing. Why can I not remember those words at all? Like what's going on? It's like a nature habitat thing for animals. You know, one of those places in nature where animals can go and get taken care of? She works at one of those. Her mother's running it, and they are carrying a secret because both of them are witches. They've basically, well, Iris has been through something with a friend of hers and has basically decided that she's gonna keep this a secret because witches are not necessarily, people know that they exist, but they're not necessarily super positive about witches. So, but they work at this nature thing. And there's also a dude called Pike who's not a witch, and he does not love witches. In fact, he very much hates witches, which he's very vocal about as well. And Iris has heard him say several times that he does not like witches. So Iris and Pike don't really get along. They definitely have a bit of like they struggle with each other, you know? And so when Iris, once more, hears Pike saying how much he doesn't like witches. She gets mad. And so she's learned this thing from her grandma where she writes curses or like spells out curses and then just like releases them into the earth. She does that with a curse that is aimed at Pike. That is basically meant to turn him into a witch. But she's supposed to release it into the earth. Unfortunately, an owl swoops down and takes the curse and flies off. And so Iris is not in a good position all of a sudden. Because now she has this curse in the air carried by an owl. And as it turns out, the owl is also an amplifier, which means that if something happens to the owl while it's carrying this curse, everyone within a radius of whatever will actually be affected by the curse and could possibly get turned into witches or die. So Iris has to set off to track down this owl, and basically because she doesn't want to tell anyone that it's carrying a curse, her mother basically decides that Pike has to go with her. So the two of them take off to track down this owl while they're bickering with each other, but also kind of getting a little bit closer. But Iris also has some secrets she's carrying, obviously, so things are not easy. And I think this was nice. I mean, definitely YA. Which I'm having a little bit of I'm going through a rough patch with YA as it is right now. I don't really know why. I just feel like I'm kind of in not a YA phase. And so in that way, I wasn't super into it, but I still enjoyed it. I loved the nature aspects of it. I loved hearing about the animals as well. I think Rachel Griffin also had a very nice, with the magic, what Iris can do with the animals. That was very interesting as well. I read this a little bit in nature too one of the days, and it was very fitting. Being surrounded by trees and birds and stuff. Very fitting. It was a good mix. There were points throughout this. So I read this as a part of a read along with the book club. If you want to check out the book club, by the way, there's a link to it in the pinned comment, or it's through my link tree, but you can find it there. But because of that, it's split up into, we've read this in 4 parts. And I did feel like I do summaries of the parts once a week. And there was definitely a part where I felt like I didn't really have much to summarize because most of it had been about Iris and Pike basically going back and forth with their relationship a little bit, so it did lose its pacing a little bit. You don't notice it as much if you're not just reading the whole book in one go or 2 goes. If you read it over 4 months, it's a little bit much. I meant 4 weeks. If you read it over 4 weeks, you don't necessarily notice it that much. But when I sat down and had to write the summaries, I definitely felt it because I didn't really have a lot to say or a lot to add to it. But I think overall I liked it still. It was nice to see as well, this was mentioned as well by someone in the book club, that the guy in this is basically just average height, a little bit nerdy, not super cool, it was nice to see a different kind of love interest, because I feel like we see too many of the cool guys. It's okay to be nerdy, But yeah, love the nature vibes as well. It was great, but definitely also very YA. Do you guys want to see what this looks like underneath? Because stunning, beautiful, but this is, I think, only first print. So unless you got it in the first print, you won't get that, but it's still so pretty. I love the color combination. So anyway. But yes, YA enemies to lovers with witches and curses and seemingly a lot of blood apparently as well. Don't ask, just read it. Lastly, another enemies to lovers. We have Twisted Hate, but very different from the other enemies to lovers. This is by Anna Huang, and it's the 3rd book in the Twisted series. In this one, we follow Jules and Josh. This one we also read with a book club in the read along, so we're actually on the last Twisted book now, which is Twisted Lies. I'm a week behind, apologies. I'm catching up though, it's fine. But in this one, it's Jules and Josh it's about, and they hate each other. They do not like each other one bit, but there is still something, there's kind of this they don't get along. They're very good at bickering. They're very good at insulting each other. And for some reason, neither of them really take it to heart. It's just fun. They definitely hate each other, but there's something funny about it as well. And then one thing leads to another at some point. The two kind of end up doing the horizontal tango, the horse, you know what I mean, it's fine. And so Josh is you know what, that was actually pretty good. I kind of liked it. I still hate you, but I kind of liked it. Do you want to do it again? We can do a enemies with benefits sort of situation. How do you feel about that? And so Jules is a little bit hesitant, But then again, she's a bit like, yeah, you're right, it was kind of good. Okay, I'm in. Let's do it. And so they start sneaking around their friend group's backs and also set some rules for each other. There's no jealousy, like no strings, no staying around sleeping, no movie nights, no dates, nothing. And then slowly they start to break these rules, obviously. And so, you know, one thing leads to another, there's something growing there. But also, Josh has to, I can't say that because that's a spoiler for book 1. Josh is dealing with some stuff, as characters do in books. I don't know, it's very unspecific. That's all you get though. And Jules is also dealing with some stuff in regards to her past. She has a guy who's come back who keeps bothering her, and is just overall being very, not a nice addition to the story. Not nice. Yeah, he's just being, he's pressuring her to do stuff for him because otherwise he's going to, like, he's basically blackmailing her. That's what he's doing. And so Jules is dealing with that as well. So there's a little bit more of like, there's more plot to it than just them, well, frankly, doing the dance a lot. They're dancing a whole lot in this book. There's a lot of dancing. Like a lot of dancing. Like a whole lot. And it's very angry dancing. I just want to clarify. I don't mean like literal dancing, but just in case. You know what I mean, right? Okay. It's filled with smut. It's basically half of it is smut. There's a lot. It's a whole lot and so angry. It really surprised me how angry it is. It literally says hate in the title. And I'm still like, what the heck? I'm not gonna give you examples because we're not going there, but it really surprised me. Like, it really, really surprised me. And then I kind of got desensitized to it, I think. So I don't know. My line has been moved by this book. It definitely just pushed it a little bit, like, or my limit. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it just pushed it. But it was fun. It was just very smutty. Like a whole lot of smut. Not as good as Twisted Games, though, I want to say. But which one did I like more, Twisted Love or this one? I think I enjoyed this one more than Twisted Love, but I think Ana Huang also has grown a little bit as an author between the two books. So like, there's definitely things from Twisted Games that she took and learned from, and then stuck with them for this one. So I will say, so far, my favorite is Twisted Games, Twisted Hate, and then Twisted Love. We'll see where Twisted lie on that list when I finished it. But if you want smut though, angry smut, it's basically like 500 pages of that, I think. Yeah, it's 500 pages of angry smut. I do love Jules as a character, and I got annoyed whenever someone in the book was like, she's so annoying. I loved her. I don't know. I'm not biased because she's a redhead. She just says what she means and she sticks to it, you know? I can respect that. So, but yeah, overall, pretty good month, I want to say. I haven't really been like super disappointed by any of the books. I thought they were all enjoyable in their own way. I just had like one amazing read. Not that Divine Rivals wasn't amazing. It definitely was. But like The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy, top shelf. No, that's not how you say that. Top shelf is not a good thing. Top spot on my list. And there was just like a little bit of a jump down to number 2. You know what I mean? That's all I got though. I hope you enjoyed it. I feel like I ranted even though I didn't mean to, but maybe we've also gotten used to it by now. I don't know. If you're new to the channel, this is what I do. I talk a lot. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today, so I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you want to check out the books, there are links to all of them in the description box down below. If you want to check out the book club, there's a link to that in the pinned comment or through the link tree. I also am on TikTok now, by the way. And I don't know if I've added that to the link tree, but by the time this video goes live, I definitely will have. So if you want to follow me on there, definitely just follow the link tree links and all of that. But that is all I got for you guys today, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to hit the thumbs up, and if you want to see more videos like this from me, but also other ones such as unboxings and vlogs and TBR videos, all the other booktube stuff, definitely consider sticking around by clicking on the subscribe button. However, I'm gonna leave you to it now, so I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye! Oh, you know you're beautiful.